Good morning everyone. I'm MD Sadatunisa from Department of Zoology TTW RDC Women's Kottagudem. So in current scenario you might have heard about the different terms like immunity, vaccine, antibodies, etc. So you might have feel that these few terms from the biological side it may be complicated for you. Let me take the pleasure to make it in a simplified fashion to know about the different things about our body. So in this session, I'll start by discussing about the basic concepts and what are the cells of immune system, organs of immune system, what do you mean by immunity, what are the things involved in it like antigens and antibodies, and what do you mean by vaccine and what are the different types of vaccines present here, and a few facts and precautions after taking the vaccination. So, I think you might have already known the topic, that is immunology. So, immunology, it is nothing but a branch of biology or science that will be dealing about the physiological mechanism that is shown by both animals and humans to defend themselves or save themselves from the invaders. So, invaders are nothing but the bacteria or virus in entering into our body, right? So it's immune, it is a Latin term that it should be free, like we should be free, our body should be free from the different calamities or diseases that are being caused by the different invaders. So you should know the different terms or definitions about the immunology, like what do you mean by immune system first, immunology and immunity, and what is immune response. So a system is nothing but a combination of different things, right? So here the immune system will be involving not only a particular or a single cell or single thing, that is a cells or tissues which are involving and which are helping to resist the body from infections is known as the immune system. And coming to the immunology, it is the study of this structure and function of this all the immune cells and tissues. Immunity is nothing but it is our resistance or it is our capacity of our body to halt the action of that particular invaders like bacteria and virus by showing their toxic effect on upon our body. So immune response is nothing but by coordinating all these things like cells and tissues and various mechanical or physiological factors will be taking place inside our body to halt the action of the invaders like bacteria and virus. So I think you have cleared about the terms like what is immune system, immunology, immunity and immune response. Right? So how this immunity is shown by our body. So like first we'll be having the three line of defense. So in a nutshell I just want to explain you about the process of this immunity by taking a general example, like if there is a city, there will be cops, right? So cops or policemen. So whenever a person outside the city or a person who is trying to spoil the judicial system, these cops will catch him and they will halt the action of that particular person, right? So in the same way, our body is also having some monitoring system like a judiciary system. Our body is also having a monitoring system which will keep a track of everything that is being entered into our body. So the first and foremost like frontliners of our body are the barriers like a skin and the mucous membrane. So skin, you know that skin is covered all over the body. So wherever the skin is absent, it is replaced with some mucus layer like our eyes, nose and mouth. There will be the secretion of mucus which will be consisting of an enzyme called lysozyme. So with the action of this lysozyme enzyme, the invaders can be halted or their action will be resisted there. For example, if these invaders has crossed the first line of defense, now it's the duty of second line of defense of our body like the fever or the phagocytosis. Here the phagocytosis is a process in which the cells of the immune system, like for example, if this is a bacteria or virus that is entered into our body, so and this is the immune cell. So whenever a bacteria or virus is entering into our body, these immune cells will catch it or they will engulf it and they will destroy the function of this particular invader, right? So sometimes we may think that our body or we are feeling ill, that's why our body has shown the fever, right? So here fever is nothing but it's an immunological response from our body. So the raising of our temperature is tending to make the unfavorable conditions to the invaders, right? So now this invader is very sharp, now it has crossed the first and second line of defense as well, and then comes the third line of defense, which is very specific. So here you might notice that first and second line, it is non-specific. Non-specific means whatever or whoever is trying to come into our body, it is halting the function of it. But whereas the third line of defense, it is very specific. That means it will be showing that particular action, or by producing the antibody, it is specifically halting the function of the invader. So anything that is entering into our body, it is known as a foreign particle, or it is called a antigen. So against this antigen, antibody has to be released to halt the mechanism of that particular antigen, right? So here comes the different cells of immune system. So here you might see the picture, like the green color background one, the cells are having some dotted structures and the right side cells are very clear. So here this is based on the granular cytoplasm. So if the granular cytoplasm is there in those cells, those are called as granular leukocytes. So here the cells which are involving in the immune process are the WBC cells, nothing but white blood cells, right? So we call the white blood cells as leukocytes as well. If the cell is having the granular cytoplasm, then they are known as granular leukocytes. If the cytoplasm is very clear, then these are the agranular leukocytes. So the granular leukocytes are the eosinophils, basophils and neutrophils, whereas the agranular leukocytes are lymphocytes, plasma cells, monocytes and the dendritic cells. So let me explain you clearly about all the different cells that are involved in the process of immunity, and what is the structure of it, and how amount of these cells are present in the circulating fluid. So the neutrophils are the major group of cells that are present in the circulating blood. That is 60% of the peripheral blood will be consisting of leukocytes, which are more numerous in number. And if you see the picture, these are multi-lobed. So if it is a single lobe, it is unilobed, two lobes bilobed, and more than two lobes, then it is known as a multi-lobe. So the cytoplasm will be having the granules in it, that's why it is a granular cytoplasm. So where do you find these neutrophils? So these neutrophils are found where there is a site of inflammation, or if there is any injury on your skin, obviously your skin will be inflamed, or if you are taking any injection, you show the point of inflammation over there, right? So at the point of inflammation, these neutrophils will be seen. Whereas coming to the eosinophils, you can find two lobes in the picture. So it is a bilobed nuclei, and the cytoplasm will be consisting of granules in it. And you can find these eosinophils when you stain with a dye called eosin. So based on this acid dye, it is named as eosinophils, and there are only 1 to 3% of eosinophils are found in the circulating leukocytes. So where does these eosinophils are involved? So these eosinophils are involved in at the asthma. So during the asthma process, these eosinophils are involved. And coming to the basophils are also the bilobed one, but compared to the rest of the two things what we have discussed now, these are very lower in number. That means less than 1% of basophils are found in the circulating blood. So there are some actions like hypersensitivity and major histocompatibility complexes that are involving in the process of immune system. So these basophils are majorly seen or involved in the allergic reaction, especially in the type 1 hypersensitivity. Then comes the mast cells. These are also similar to that of basophils, what we have just discussed. Like they'll be showing some shown during the important allergic reactions, and these will be also containing the granules in it. Whereas coming to the monocytes, these are also known as the macrophages, one of the most important immune cells, like what we have discussed, the process of phagocytosis. So these macrophages are mostly involved in the process of phagocytosis, or by killing the intracellular microorganisms. That means they are taking the microorganism inside the cell and they are degrading it, or they are halting the function of that particular microorganism. So once they are left from the bone marrow, they will be keep on circulating in the blood, and they will be monitoring that who is entering into the body, and the major function is that holding them and also destructing their function. And when monocytes will enter the tissue, they will become a macrophage. So they will be having the enzymes called lysozyme in it, and that's why they'll be showing the greater phagocytosis in nature. And as I told you that they'll be circulating in the blood, that's it to be very motile in nature. They're capable of living for many years in the tissues. So after the activation of this, see, you can see a electron macrophage, that is after the destruction of the microorganism. So after activation, these cells they'll be secreting some cytokines and chemokines and other factors that will give a signal to the immune system to activate it. And then comes the plasmatic cells, which are derived from the B cells. So before discussing like about the B, I just want to give idea that there are two cells that are which are involved, like B cells and T cells. So these B cells and T cells are the shown in the primary lymphoid organs, right? The primary lymphoid organs are the bone marrow and thymus in our body. So from the bone marrow, B cells will be released, and from bone marrow only T cells are also released, but they will go and mature in the thymus gland. That's why we call it as T cells. So here these plasmatic cells are also formed. Plasma cells are formed from the differentiated B cells, and they will secrete immunoglobulins. So in the further slides you'll come to know what do you mean by a immunoglobulin. And also you have a very important lymphocytes like the natural killer cells. There are around 5 to 10% of natural killer cells that will kill the infected virus and tumor cells once they get sensibilization. If they found any tumor cells or virus cells, they will just naturally kill. Like T cells and B cells, they will be not having any markers on it, any receptors or any CD or cluster differentiated cells. All these things are not found. They will just go naturally and they'll kill the tumor cells or virus cells if they are found in the body. So in a nutshell, you can find the different structures of neutrophils, basophils, eosinophils, monocytes and lymphocytes here. And there are also called dendritic cells or accessory cells. So especially these cells are useful in giving the particular microorganism to B cell or T cell. Like for example, if your college, you'll be having a watchman and a principal in the college, right? So if someone person has to come to college to meet the principal, so directly he cannot go and meet the principal, right? So there should be someone who will go and inform principal that these fellows has come to our college, so whether we can permit them or not further action, right? So here the watchman is presenting that particular person to a principal, right? So in the same way, these dendritic cells or accessory cells, they are called as antigen presenting cells. So antigen is nothing but anything that has in entered into our body, right? So after entry of this particular antigen, these dendritic cells will hold the antigen, and they will go and they will inform to the principal, or they will present this antigen to the B cells or T cells, right? So this is all about the different cells that are involved in the immune process. And now comes the organs. So how the cells are formed, where they are matured, there is some involvement of organs here. So here the organs of immune system are usually two types. There are primary lymphoid organs and the secondary lymphoid organs. Let us see what are those. So here the primary lymphoid organs are the bone marrow and thymus. As I told you just now that the B cells and T cells are released from the bone marrow, and the T cells will go and mature in the thymus gland. And the secondary lymphoid organs will be including the lymph nodes, spleen and MALT. It is a mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. So coming to the primary lymphoid organs. So the lymphoid stem cells, after proliferation in the bone marrow, they will be producing the T cells and B cells. So these T cells and B cells are very specific towards the particular antigen. So after maturation, what these T cells and B cells will do, they will be migrating in the secondary lymphoid organs. We will be discussing later. So in mammals, these thymus gland and bone marrow are involved in the primary lymphoid organs, whereas in birds, the thymus will be present, but instead of bone marrow, here we'll talk about the bursa of Fabricius. So the major sites of these lymphopoiesis is nothing but the formation of lymphoid organs or lymphoid cells is known as lymphopoiesis. So the major sites of lymphopoiesis are in like the T cells and B cells. Right. So first we'll talk about the thymus gland, which is a bilobed organ. It will be situated just above the heart, and it will be enclosed in a capsule. Okay, so these lobes will be separated by a special structures called tuberculi, and there are three parts like two parts like outer cortex and inner medulla. So the thymocytes, the cells of this thymus, in an immature form we call it as the thymocytes. So epithelial cells in the outer cortex, those cells are known as nurse cells. So this is the structure of the thymus, and we have discussed that it is covered with the outer capsule and the inner tubercula. So the lobes are separated by inner tubercula, and you can also find the blue color dotted structures which are the immature thymocytes, right? And the gray color ones are the nurse cells. Okay. So these T cells, they are recognizing the antigen, especially during the MHC complex it is given. So MHC, it is nothing but it is a major histocompatibility complex. So these T cells will protect the body from infections. So this major histocompatibility comes in the scene when during a graft transplantation, right? During the organ transplantation. So that organ we call it as graft in the biological terms. So right, so you might have heard that so graft is rejected. So once after the organ transplantation is done, sometimes the patient cannot survive, right? So the thing is, the graft has been not totally accepted by the immune system of that particular recipient. So this major histocompatibility complex is seen during the, especially during the graft transplantations. And the other primary lymphoid organ is a bone marrow, where you find the stem cells. Then later, after proliferation, they will be formed into the B cells and T cells. This will be seen in the humans and mice. And This site of bone marrow is seen in almost all the species for the development of B cells, and they will be secreting cytokines. And here the bursa of Fabricius, it is known as a galt. Galt is nothing but gut associated lymphoid organs, which is mostly seen in the hind gut of chickens. So here this is the site of differentiation of B cells or B lymphocytes, and it is usually described in the year 1621, and it is also involved in the immunoglobulin synthesis. Immunoglobulins are, the other term for immunoglobulin is nothing but a antibody, right? And this bursa of Fabricius is absent in mammals. Now coming to the secondary lymphoid organs. So organs in which antibodies are formed are secondary lymphoid organs. So the primary lymphoid organs only the cells are formed like B cells and T cells. Whereas coming to the secondary lymphoid organs, there will be production of antibody. So antigens will be trapped, and when after the lymph filtration mechanism, they will receive a immunocompetent cells from the primary lymphoid organs, and they will make them active. So here the secondary lymphoid organs are nothing but the spleen and lymph nodes, and they are associated with mucus. So that's why they call it as MALT, mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. So first we'll be talking about the secondary lymphoid organ is lymph nodes. So lymph nodes are the bean-shaped structures which have a capsule. So these are the solid caps encapsulated the bean structures. And where does these lymph nodes are found? These lymph nodes are found in the mesenteries and in the armpits. And what is the network? So it will be having the lymph nodes, lymphocytes, and the macrophages, dendritic cells, all these like what we have discussed earlier. So what are the regions of these lymph nodes? So they'll be having the cortex, paracortex, and medullary region. So outermost region is known as the cortex region, in which the different immune cells are found like the lymphocytes, macrophages, dendritic cells. All these are arranged in a primary follicle, and they'll be also having a very organized tissue, and where you can find a follicular dendritic cells and some resting B cells as well. And coming to the paracortex region, here the paracortex region is said to be the thymus dependent region, and cortex region is said to be the thymus independent region, and medullary region is the innermost. So if you see the mechanism of this, see when the antigen will reaching this particular region, it will be trapped, and here the activation of class 2 MHC molecules will be taking place, that will be resulting in the TH cells. So here the T cells, you are having the cells like T helper cells, T cytotoxic cells. So these T helper cells, what they'll do, they'll go and activate the B cells, that yes, some antigen has come into our body, now you should be activated. So this initially, these B cells will take place within the paracortex, then later they will differentiate it into plasma cells and the memory cells. So here the memory cells are also having the very crucial role in the immunological process, like it should memorize the antigens that has entered, like if a corona patient has produced antibodies now, so whenever the same virus is again attacking the body, it will be, the memory cells will be rapidly recognize it, and it should be rapidly show the action against the antigens. And especially it will, these are involved in secreting IgG. So in the next slides you'll come to know what they mean by IgG, that is the immunoglobulins. And then comes the spleen. So this is the structure of the spleen, which will be having the splenic arteries and veins. Red pulp, white pulp is in, let us see in detail. So it is a bean shaped organ, what you have just seen. So where is the location of this? So in the abdominal cavity towards the left side, this spleen will be present, and the specialization of this spleen is filtering the blood, and it will capture the antigens that are there in the blood. So it is also surrounded by a capsule, and you can find the two things or two compartments here, that is the red pulp and white pulp. So this red pulp will be having the macrophages, lymphocytes in it, and whereas the white pulp will be having the T and B lymphocytes. This white pulp, again, it will be having some branches of splenic arteries that will be forming a pulse here. Per articular lymphoid sheath will be formed over there, right? Then comes the malt. It is the mucosa associated lymphoid tissue, which is a epithelial surface that is uh, used in the production of antibodies from the plasma cells. So you'll be having the nasal as mucosa in the nasal associated, like from the backbone of nose, like, and also the palate or at the tongue region, or from the tonsils, and from the respiratory tract also, maybe the urinogenital tract and gastrointestinal tract. All these are the effective barriers that are shown in halting the action of antigens that are entering into our body. So this malt is said to be non-specific in activity. Right. So till now we have discussed about the different organs and cells that are involved in the process of immunity, right? So what is immunity first? So immunity is nothing but a resistance. So our body should show the resistance against the antigens or foreign particles that are causing the injury. So this immunity will be shown from against the maybe the bacteria, or maybe the virus, or maybe the protozoans, whatever may be the pathogens. So from the pathogens, our body should show some resistance, that is known as immunity, right? So there are different types of immunity, and I'll give the example for each, right? The two major categories of immunity is the innate immunity and the acquired immunity. So here the innate immunity is the immunity that we have from our birth. So from the birth time will be our body will be showing some immune responses, that is innate immunity. But acquired immunity is the immunity that will be developed during the course of lifetime, right? And this acquired immunity, it is also two types, that is active immunity and the passive immunity. Okay, and in active immunity, again, you can find the natural one and the artificial one. So here acquired immunity, that is the immunity which is acquired or which is getting in the lifetime, and if it is active and if it is natural, like for example, a person infected with COVID, coronavirus, so naturally he will develop the antibodies. So when a person is coming directly in contact with that particular disease, and he is developing the antibodies, or he will developing the immunity, such type of immunity is known as naturally active acquired immunity. Okay, and see, if it is in the artificial form, right, like if a person is not infected with the virus, but he is taking the vaccine, right, after taking the vaccine he will show a artificial active acquired immunity. I think the thing is it is clear over here. Then later comes the passive type. Here the passive type, it is like we are taking it from the other person, like for example, if it is natural form, from the mother's milk, like from the first milk, we call it as colostrum. So naturally there are some there is an antibody that will cross the placental barrier, and that will enter into the baby from the mother. And if it is artificial is like the plasma therapy, what has come into the scene when it is in the initial stages for the treatment of COVID. That is, we are taking a serum from the person who has developed immunity and who has exposed to that disease, and he has developed the antibody, and from that particular person we are collecting the serum and injecting into the other persons for them to get the immunity. So such kind of immunity is known as the artificially passive acquired immunity, right? Okay. So what are the factors that are affecting the immunity, right? So we have discussed about the acquired immunity, and for the innate immunity, let us see what are the different factors that are affecting. So the different factors like age, maybe the age, and the hormonal action, and the food what we are taking. So our immunity is nothing but the food what we are taking, right? So nutrition also plays a crucial role in the process of immunity, and comes the hormonal action, and then later the age, right? So here the age, so all the person cannot respond same to the different types of pathogens, right? Some are having the some are having the resistance, they can be but some are susceptible to more kind of infections, right? So here the age will come in the thing which will be showing the immunity. Like, see, if a fetus or newborn will be carrying the low immunity, because the immune system is gradually immature, but sometimes there is also a chance of showing the hyperimmune reactions due to the initial stage of that immunity, right? Because in initial stages only the immune system has matured, so they'll be showing the rapid immune reactions, so that they'll be having the more chances of getting prone to the diseases like chickenpox and all. And people with like old age, they are also have their immunity is will be gradually degrading as per the age. So age factor is also a major role in showing the immune responses. And hormonal control, so you have different glands, endocrine glands, that will show the action of hormone. So whatever may be the thing, like our body should maintain the homeostasis is nothing but maintaining a constant level of something, that may be like any hormone, or maybe your temperature, or maybe your blood pressure. It should not increase in number, or it should not decrease in number, right? So anything that should be maintained constant, like we call it as threshold in threshold limits, right? So in the same way, our body should show the hormonal action in a natural or in a constant manner. If so, if there are any ups and downs here, they'll be prone to the more hormonal imbalance. So majorly like diabetes mellitus, maybe the hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism, or so these are caused due to the increased level of carbohydrates in our tissues, right? So diabetes, so all these can be should be maintained. And then later the nutrition, which is also a very uh, key role in the immune response. Like, if a child is having the malnutrition, he cannot develop specially the cell mediated immune responses. So maintaining a proper health is very much important with maintaining a proper nutrition. And here it comes a herd immunity. Till now we have discussed what is innate immunity, what is adaptive immunity, but here that should be shown by a particular person or individual. But here herd immunity is nothing but the immunity that should be shown by that particular species or that particular community. So overall a community should show that immunity to resist that disease. Okay, so here the major role of this herd immunity is to destroy or to eradicate the communicable diseases. So communicable diseases are nothing but that could be spread from one person to another person, right? The like coronavirus, or maybe the like measles maybe, and mumps, all these comes under the communicable diseases, whereas the non communicable diseases are like thyroid, blood pressure, they cannot be spread from one person to another person, right? So here, the whole community should show the resistance towards it. So this will be helping to get the relevant or control over the epidemic diseases, So epidemic diseases are nothing but which are shown in a particular area. But the current situation like coronavirus, it is a pandemic. So the difference between the epidemic and a pandemic is epidemic which is shown in a particular region or particular geographical region, but it is spreading all over the world. It is said to be a pandemic one, right? So till now we have discussed the immunity and some antigens and antibodies. So let me give a brief introduction about the antigen and antibodies. So here antigen is nothing but which has come into the body and it will stimulate the production of antibodies. So antigens are nothing but any foreign particle that is introduced into our body. That may be any protozoan or like any pathogen, or maybe the bacteria, or maybe the virus. And based on its reaction immunogenicity, we classify these antigens into two types. Those are the complete antigens and incomplete antigens. So if a substance or if it is inducing the antibodies by themselves, it is singly performing the process of immunogenicity, then it is known as a complete antigen. So if that substance is not capable of producing the or inducing the antibodies on their own, right, but they require some friend to it. So such type of immune antigens are known as incomplete antigens. These are also called as haptens. So the substance which are unable to induce antibody formation on their own without the help of the other substance. So here the other substance may be like the proteins, right? So how could you detect these particular antigens? So there are different tests like the ELISA test, that is enzyme the link immunosorbent assay, some direct inflorescence, and radio immunoassay, neutralization test, CFT, and immunohistochemical chemistry test are the different tests that are used to detect the presence of antigens in the body, right? So here, to the counter this antigen, there should be a counter called antibody. So these antibodies are nothing but the immunoglobulins, which are the larger proteins that are produced from the plasma cells. So just in the previous slides we have discussed that the B cells, they will be proliferated into the plasma cells and memory cells. So these plasma cells will be producing the antibodies, and memory cells will be recognizing, or it will be remembering the antigens for future use, right? So here the antibodies are the plasma proteins, and these are also called as immunoglobulins. So this antibody, it will recognize a unique molecule of antigen that is causing harm. So this is the basic structure of antibody. So here we can see in detail. This antibody, it will be having the two chains, the blue color one and the green color one. The blue one is the heavy chain and the green color one is the light chain. So the two regions are present. One is the variable region and the other one is the constant region. Okay, so this is the variable region on light chain and the constant region of light chain. So all these are held together by disulfide bonds, right? So you are having the different classes of antibodies like IgG, IgM, IgA, D and E. So these classes are named as correspond to their heavy chains. So the like G is immunoglobulin, G is gamma, and M is mu, A stands for alpha, D is delta, and E is epsilon, right? So all these are the different structures of IgG, IgE, IgD and IgM, IgA antibody. So you can also find the joining chain and the secretory protein chain are found in the IgA antibody, right? So we have talked about the antigens and antibodies. So how they are reacting to each other, so how they are combining with each other, how they are interacting. Such combination or interaction among this antigen and antibody is known as antigen antibody reactions. So in abbreviated form we say AGAB reactions. So these are specially in the humoral mediated immunity. So before talking about the antigen and antibody reaction, I just want to tell you the two terms like cell mediated immunity and humoral mediated immunity. So cell mediated immunity is shown by the production or by the action of cells like the B cells and the T cells, okay, in which only the immune cells will come in the action, whereas the humoral mediated immunity is the antibodies are coming into the action. They will be acting on the specific antigen or specific targeted antigen by detecting the infectious disease that is being caused by that specific antigen in the body, right? There are different reactions like the precipitation reaction, agglutination, complement fixation in ELISA test, and immunofluorescence are the different reactions that are shown by the interaction of this antigen and antibody. I don't want to go much in detail. I'll just give you the example or picture of this particular precipitation reaction. Like, see, if you see the antibodies in the picture 1, antigens in the picture 2. So in the picture 3, antigen antibody complex is formed. So this, the action of this particular antigen has halted by the antibodies. So these antigens and antibodies, they will be combined in a presence of that particular electrolytes like sodium chloride, and maintenance of proper temperature and pH is also done. Then comes the vaccine. So you might have, most of you may have the doubt, right, like what is the vaccine, how it is prepared, and so this vaccine, it is not a medicine first of all. So this is only the formula. So vaccines are prepared biologically to boost our immunity, right? After the introduction of a vaccine or administration of vaccine into our body, our body has to come into the action to produce the antibodies. It doesn't mean vaccine is acting as a medicine. It is only a formula that is used to activate our immune system, right? So but how these particular vaccines are activating to produce particular antibodies against a particular antigen, we'll see. So these are nothing but the agents that are causing the disease. So like for example, this vaccine of coronavirus, this will be consisting of a virus or virus particles in it, but in an inactivated form. That's why there is a chance of testing positive. If you test after taking the vaccination, there is a chance of getting positive, but it doesn't mean you are positive for virus. You will be positive only for the production of antibodies. Why? Because during the test, we'll say that if the antibodies are there in our blood, then we are tested positive. So obviously after taking the vaccination, the antibody production will be started. So there is a chance of testing positive after taking vaccination. So don't get worried over there. Okay, so these vaccines are the agents that will stimulate the body's immune system, and by recognizing the antigen, and they will destroy it. So the immune system, they can be easily recognize and destroy any microorganism that will be encountering. So this vaccine or the vaccination is derived from the varroa vaccination, which is a smallpox of cow. So it is derived by a scientist called Edward Jenner. Then there are the different types of vaccine. These vaccines are not prepared in a single procedure or in a single form. There are the different things or different mechanisms that are involved in the production of this vaccine. So here the different vaccines are produced, like the live attenuated vaccines. Inactivated vaccines are present, subunit, toxoid, conjugated DNA, and recombinant vector vaccines. So live attenuated vaccines, live vaccine or attenuated vaccine, they will be containing a version of living microbe. Here directly a living microbe is used, but its action is weakened. So in particular in vitro conditions or laboratory conditions, the action of these particular virus will be weakened, which will show the closest thing as a pathogen which is causing the infection. So this, the closest form of this particular microorganism or pathogen will help to produce the natural infection, so that it will be causing the production of antibodies. It doesn't mean that we are giving a direct form of virus or microorganism, right? So it will be causing the infection which will harm our body. Here, even though we are injecting a live microorganism, but its action is weakened. Only the immune response will think that the real microorganism has come into our body, and it will show its action. So the vaccines, mumps and chickenpox, are the live attenuated vaccines here. So inactivated vaccine, here inactivation of that particular microbe will be done by killing it in a like a chemical, or by using the radiations or heat. So these microbe will cannot be mutated, so there is no chance of disease causing. So vaccines against the influenza and hepatitis rabies are the inactivated vaccines. Whereas coming to the subunits, till the last two types of vaccines, we have discussed that the entire form it is taken, or its action is halted, it is weakened. But here the entire microbe is not taken, but it will be taken only the subunit, or only a part of that particular microbe. So here it will be also show the best stimulation from the immune system. So here these vaccine will be just using the epitopes, which will specify a very important or very specific part of the antigen, and that antibodies are recognized, and they will go and halt, or they will go and attach to that particular antigen. So here a specific subpart or subunit is taken, that will be showing the action of immunity. So the best example for this is the plague immunization method, which is developed by the subunit type of vaccines. So the next comes the toxoid vaccines. So here we will take, or for example, for bacteria which will be secreting the toxin or the harmful which is causing the disease or infecting. So these vaccines are used specially for the bacterial toxin which will be causing the illness. And the scientists, they have found that the inactivation of these toxins by treating them with formalin. So such type of toxins are known as toxicoid type of vaccines. Next comes the conjugated type. So conjugated is nothing but, we will take, like if a bacterium possesses, it will be possessing a outermost covering which is having a polysaccharide, nothing but a sugar molecule. Okay, so they will be harmful in the bacteria. Now they will be trying to the scientists are trying to conjugate these things, and to in production of vaccine. This polysaccharide coating, they will be disguise a bacterium's antigen, so that the immature immune system in the young ones, they will recognize and respond to them. So especially like Haemophilus influenza on type B vaccines are conjugated type. And here comes the DNA vaccines. So these DNA vaccines are not, they are still in the experimental stages, but maybe if they are succeeded, they will be having the great promising effect, that a DNA vaccine will take the immunization to a next level of technology. So these will be dispensing, these DNA vaccines will be dispensing in the organisms and its parts, and where the essentials are there, and these microbes are present in the genetic material. So the best examples are influenza vaccine are in the process. And here comes the recombinant vector vaccine. So here it is a experimental vaccine to that of DNA vaccines. Here an attenuated virus or bacterium, here the live attenuated is nothing but the live virus or the bacterium will be introduced into the microbial DNA. Here is particular vector is we are taking particular vector, that is maybe the virus or bacterium, that is used as a carrier. The best example is DPT. So in the current trends, we have coming across the different vaccines, especially the India vaccines that are Covaxin and Covishield. So here the Covaxin is developed by the Bharat Biotech from ICMR, and Covishield is from the Serum Institute of India. Whereas here the types of vaccine, see here the Covaxin is an inactivated form, and Covishield is a use of viral vector has done. So I'll just let you know. Here the storage temperature is both these vaccines should be stored at 2 to 8 degrees of Celsius, and they are administered in the two doses, like 2 weeks or 2 months, like after 14 days or 2 months. So there should be a high range of immunity. So if you take the Covaxin and Covishield, here the Covishield is based on the viral technology. So what is a virus? It is the adenovirus which is acting as a carrier here. It is a vector. So then later the Covaxin, it is the inactivated form which is developed for the novel coronavirus using a dead one. So how many vials are present? So there are 10 doses in a single vial of this Covishield, and for Covaxin you can take the 20 dose. So efficiency will go up to the 90. If in Covishield the more efficiency, it will be around 90% if there is a gap of 28 days between two doses, and 60 to 70% on based on the phase 3 clinical trials in the Covaxin. So this is the comparison. So there is also antibody therapy which came in the initial stages of corona treatment, like antibody therapy and vaccination. So here the antibody therapy is nothing but the plasma that we are taking from the infected person. So these antibody therapy, directly we are collecting the antibodies that are developed from the person who has already infected with that particular virus. So directly we are taking the antibodies and we are injecting into the person who is suffering. So it will directly neutralize the virus. Whereas the vaccination, even though it will be, if we are giving it to the non-infectious person, the immune system will recognize as a foreign particle and it will start production of antibody. So this antibody therapy will be directly treating the person who is infected with coronavirus, whereas the vaccination is also giving to the healthy person. And the antibody therapy, how fast it will be working, it shows very immediate reaction, but vaccination, it will be showing its action after couple of weeks. And how far the protection will be there if we use the antibody therapy? So the protection will be from only the weeks to months if we use the antibody therapy, whereas the vaccination gives you the almost the lifetime of immune booster. Then finally there are few interesting, and also I would like to tell some precautionary steps that we should we should take after vaccination. This vaccine, it is not a medicine, it is only a formula to boost our immune system. It is only a genome sketch of that particular virus. So after taking the vaccination, there should be a perfect blood circulation. So you should take the food which will be easily digestible, easily absorbed, and easily the energy should be spread to the body. So easily digested food should be taken so that there should be a perfect chance of blood circulation. And maintenance of your emotional balance is also very important, like there should be no fluctuations in your blood pressure, like not the high bp or low bp, and don't try to get rid of any panic conditions or any sudden conditions like that. And yeah, so that you can also develop the different things like yoga and exercise are the best things you should practice after taking the vaccination. And also you should be get rid of exposing to the sun for the most time, like as the sun will be releasing the ultraviolet rays, after if you are exposed to the sun, there is a chance of damaging the antibodies that are being produced or which are under the process, right? So this COVID vaccine has not come into the a picture a number of years ago, because we are in a primary stage. So it's our responsibility to maintain the antibodies, or to develop the antibodies in a proper manner. Okay, so let us see some interesting facts about the immune system. Like, if you are under the sleep of 5 hours, or your immune system may be depressed. Okay, and if you are in a dieting process also, there should be a clear picture that you are taking enough nutrition that is required for your body. Okay, even though on your if you are on a diet, there should be a clear chart of the nutritional value, what or protein value, what you are taking in. Okay, so stress will also always damage the immune system. So the number one way to boost the immune system is to get reduce of your stress. So it is also one of the most important fact that at least once in a day your immune system will destroy a cell that would have become cancer if it is not killed. So please thank your immune system. And the immune system is nothing, or your immunity is nothing but the food what you take. And so every act of kindness on your part is a boost to your immune system. So all of you in this pandemic condition, please stay home, stay healthy, and protect yourself and others from this COVID-19. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. Thank you so much.